Welcome to your True Real Estate 911 weekly update with your local real estate pro, Lisa Treu, with some pretty important news that you need to be aware of if you have been through a foreclosure or a short sale within the last few years. Things are changing, and what Lisa is going to share with you could make the difference between whether you end up in a home that you're interested in buying right now and not. So really, that's significant. We'll get into it. First, I want to remind you that to reach out to the Treu Group, so super easy to do. To begin with, their website, it's a great place to start. Terrific resources, including the ability for you to be able to search for property like a real estate agent, available to you at TrueRealEstate911.com. That's TrueRealEstate911.com. And the Treus, well, they help you out 7 days a week. Easy as calling 561-972-8326. That's 561-972-8326. Lisa, you just brought some information here that is, it was, I don't want to say jaw-dropping, but it was surprising, and it really could impact a lot of people in our area.
It could. Fannie Mae has made a new announcement. It's very important news to take a look at, that the waiting period of financing a new home after a short sale or a deed in lieu has been adjusted. And the interesting thing is these changes go into effect as soon as August 16th. So if you're under contract, you have to look and see if this is actually something that you need to deal with. You cannot miss this date if you're one of these people that the guidelines have changed on.
Okay, so let's go through the finer points of this significant change if you are looking to finance and you are adhering to a conforming mortgage, which means that you have a traditional loan from a financial institution at $417,000 or less. So these are going to be the loans that would be affected by this. Walk us through the changes here.
Well, there's good news and there's not so great news. First of all, if you did a deed in lieu, the old guideline was that if you did a deed in lieu and it had a high loan loss write-off, you had a 7-year waiting period. So they've actually shortened that down to 4 years. However, the other parts are not such good news. If you had done a deed in lieu, you only had to wait 2 years if you had an 80%
Loan to value. Yeah.
And now they've moved that to 4 years. So if you did have done a deed in lieu, you are looking at 4 years, really, no matter what.
And that's deed in lieu. Now, with regard to a short sale, how is that impacted?
Yes, so the short sale has gone from a 2 or 3 year, depending on circumstances, waiting period to now a 4-year waiting period. I have clients that literally are ticking down the days thinking they're going to be able to buy a home this year or at the end of the year. And now we're having to really look at options and see what we do about this new news.
All right, so this is a really big deal. If you were in a deed in lieu situation or a short sale situation and you were getting back into the market, the positive thing had been, hey, if you had a one-off negative event, you're back on track and you're ready to get back in the market, you could take advantage of it because it's been a couple of years. Now that may not be the case. So when we're talking about 4 years, and this goes into effect, as you mentioned, August 16th, so that's 2010. That would mean that in order to be eligible, you would have had to have had your short sale, by mid-August of 2010 at this point in order to be eligible. And again, the specificity of what's covered here, you're talking about conforming, so you're talking about, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, $417,000 or less, and you're actually going to be seeking additional information to see if other loan products might be affected, like FHA and potentially even jumbo.
Yes, and one of the things that's still here is if you had documented extenuating circumstances, they will make exceptions to that 2-year mark. Now, there's a list of what Fannie Mae considers an extenuating circumstance. And once again, we just received this information yesterday. We're going to be digging in, looking for options for our clients and also for our sellers that are looking at offers. The pre-approval, pre-qualification process that's out there is going to be much more critical than at any other time, because a lot of people are not going to even be aware that this change impacts their ability to make a purchase.
Was there any reason cited for why this change was going into effect?
They looked at it and considered risk. I really don't understand the change, and I think actually it can be very detrimental to the continued recovery, because there are so many people out there that would have been able and were intending to make a purchase, and now they are going to be sidelined unless we can find options for them. I've already reached out to numerous people. There's some really great non-conforming loan products coming out. We're vetting those, validating those, that they're good options for our clients, because once again, we just don't want to take this as a given. We want to see solutions and see if there are other options.
Okay, so here is what I'm hearing based upon what you're sharing with us. And that is, it's mid-July. We've got a month. So
Yes.
if we've had a short sale or a deed and lose situation within the last 4 years and we were thinking about buying, we got to do it like now. We got to get
Yes.
on it. And I know you've mentioned with your mortgage partners that you can get a closing done inside of 30 days. So
can.
this can be possible. But, I mean, literally, you cannot sit on your hands at this point.
Yes, it impacts you a couple of ways. If you've been waiting on the fence and you just, haven't had the urgency to buy, and you fit in this category, you need to get urgent. Like, you need to call the team today. You need to get with our lenders today. Get all your documents together. It's still possible, if you would get out there this weekend and find a property, to go ahead and hit that timeline. Eric Cantelli with Academy Mortgage can close a deal in 3 weeks, as long as we've got a client who provides everything. So we basically have a week, in theory, to find you a piece of property that's going to meet your family's needs, and then go ahead and get the financing started while we're doing that. The second thing is, if you are a seller and you have a contract on your property that is beyond August 16th, you need to go to your agent and have these conversations and say, does my buyer affected by this? A lot of agents will not know about this change. So you need to take it into your own hands and go to your agent and have those conversations and make sure that you don't need to expedite up faster that closing. And then the third person that this obviously impacts is if you're in a property that has like a short sale. Maybe you're a buyer waiting on an approval on a short sale. You're going to have to make some decisions, because if it's, once again, not approved, and odds are it's going to go past that August 16th, you may need to consult your agent, your representative, and your attorney, maybe even, about what your options are.
Wow.
Because this date is coming, and we didn't have a lot of notice about it.
Sure. And
Sadly.
this is and as we know, anytime we're talking about outcomes based upon distressed property, we know that we are disproportionately affected in our area. We have more, we are one of the top 5 areas in the entire country per capita for people who were victims of these types of situations related to the housing crisis, have gone through short sales, deed and lose, those types of situations. So, I don't want to be overly dramatic, because, I think we all agree that, the decision about buying and financing a home isn't something that, you should just go, well, gee, I wasn't planning on it, but I guess I'm going to go buy one today. But,
Right.
You are talking about the difference here of now or potentially 2 years from now.
Right.
And so you think about the conditions today from a financing perspective, set aside home prices and what might happen over the next 2 years. Now, you take a look at mortgage rates right now and the possibility and the risk over the next 2 years, and the landscape can change really dramatically between now and then.
Oh, I mean, prices can be different, interest rates can be different. And not only that, especially those of you who are listening that are intending on buying a home in the next couple of months, the disappointment that you're going to remain a tenant for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because I think people were mentally prepared. Okay, I'm going to be a tenant. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to, enjoy not having any, repair items on a home. And then the reality comes that, okay, I'm going to do this for another 2 years.
Well, and rent rates continue to rise.
Well, it's really good news for landlords.
Yeah.
It's actually great news for landlords because, like you said, especially single family homes, it's exceptionally great news. I'm not sure it's great news for the general economy of real estate.
No, I would agree with you. Anytime you're talking about limiting a pool of otherwise qualified buyers that might have been a victim of a one-off circumstance due to the housing crisis. Now, I do think you're right, especially since you take a look at some of the latest information that's out there. And you had, as always, you're ahead of the game on this one. You had mentioned that, hey, market's changing and it's literally down to community by community, sometimes home by home. We're seeing that. The difference on the national stage is dramatic. Prices on properties over $1 million still appreciating nicely year over year.
Right.
Prices on property under $1 million, well, in many cases, there's actually depreciation year over year.
Correct.
So there really are specific stories.
We are hearing, Steve and I have the pleasure of spending time with the top agents all over the country, and we're hearing that there's very few pockets of areas all in the entire nation that are actually still in a very hot market. Now, there are some neighborhoods in Palm Beach County and in Martin County that are super hot and that are, we're still seeing prices appreciate at a crazy rate. And then there's some that we've seen that settlement and inventory growing. And so, I don't think that I think the window's still open. I think that there's still an opportunity. I feel that in some areas the window's closing a bit. And so whoever takes the opportunity while the window is still open will win, and those that don't need to have a plan B approach.
In terms of the changes, you had mentioned that you're saying that in big-time investors were taking a step back. Is that the biggest change that you're seeing with a lot of the activity that the institutional guys are kind of taking a step back?
Well, that's a huge market, and if you look at the number of transactions that were done in Palm Beach County as well as all over South Florida, the removal of that professional investor is huge. The second thing that we're seeing is, as homes started to sell and you had the multiple offers, and then all of a sudden neighbors would go, well, I want to sell too, and I want to sell too, and I'd want to sell too, and then missing the price. And what we're finding is that even properties that are priced by appraisal right now are missing the price. Some of our properties need to be just a little bit under because the market inventory is just shifting a bit. And so when you're looking at the past and the appraisal, that may have been pushed up because of the multiple offer situation. So it's really having the price as aggressive as you can and then having the marketing perfect. I looked at a $500,000 property that had come off the market today, and Steve and I are looking at the pictures, and the pictures were so poor, the inside of this house, I didn't even recognize that it was actually the inside of the house.
Wow.
I said, they don't even have any inside home pictures, and Steve said, no, and he backed up, and he said, no, that's it. I'm like, you're kidding.
Oh, my.
And so having the marketing perfect is critical. And then the next thing is putting it on the market and listening to the market. Is the market responding to the price and the marketing? And if not, the one who reacts fastest wins.
There's a lot to consider here.
There is.
Lots of important information. We've got a changing market with a lot of market-specific stories. We've got this change from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac on people who have been through a short sale and a deed in lieu. We have the looming consideration out there about the Federal Reserve and mortgage rates. I mean, there's a lot. Here's what I'm hearing kind of from a global point of view. We always need good advice anyway. But if we have uncertainty, whether it's uncertainty in timing of selling or buying, if we're in process and we're looking at obtaining financing, or as you mentioned, if we are under contract with somebody, and it's going to close after August 16th, we need information there. It sounds like, generally speaking, we need professional guidance in a lot of these situations right now.
We do. And my best advice for people that are on the fence in any of these areas, if you already have an agent, obviously you're going to call your agent and inquire about this, ask them what they know about this, and ask them what they know about your buyer on your deal or about your situation. If you're not under contract, call us. Come in, sit down with Steve, sit down with myself. Let's look at, does this change impact you? Maybe it doesn't impact you personally. You never went through a short sale. You didn't have a deed in lieu. Will it impact the buyer who's most likely going to be buying your home? So let's sit down. Let's get really good information. Let's take the drama out of it. and let's just look at good quality information. And in the meantime, we are going to be looking for solutions and options, because there, in our opinion, there's probably some kind of way to deal with this. It's just a matter of being really progressive and thinking about that and figuring the solution out.
No, you're right. And there are the first question that comes to mind, and I know you're going to be seeking answers and helping share the information, would be a jumbo mortgage. Because if it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, does that mean that the standard won't apply to those mortgages over $417,000?
Right.
That'd be a bit ironic.
It would, right?
But
buy a larger home, you're
that'd
probably
be
solved,
yes,
right?
that'd be easier theoretically to obtain a mortgage at a higher level than not.
Right.
But nevertheless, there are these types of questions, since this information's just hitting and you're sharing it with us, that there'll be more too. So I know that we'll be doing another part on this as you get more information coming up. But really appreciate you taking the time to share this information. Really important and if you have friends, if you're just, you listen and you pay attention to things and you have an interest, but you have friends that are in this situation, let them know. This is something that's fairly impactful right now.
This is one of these shows that you can go online and you can get this show and you can share it. You can share it on your Facebook. You can share it, if you like, if you want to tweet it, if you want to email it to a personal friend. This is something that if you know of somebody who fits any of these categories, odds are they haven't heard this news. So pass it along, share it. We put these shows up so that you can listen at your convenience, and you can pass it along as you feel that it's beneficial to those of your friends and family.
And of course, for the Treu assistance, always available for you 7 days a week. And you can always get started at TreuRealEstate911.com. That's TreuRealEstate911.com. And the Treu Group available for you 7 days a week. You want to talk to them, you want answers right now, reach out. 561-972-8326. 561-972-8326.